Okay, just want to say good morning to everyone and thank you so much for coming to Impact the World Through Wellness, the first wellness event of its kind in Santa Clarita. Very, very excited to be here this morning. Basically, the mission is to educate, inspire, and share the passion of the impact all throughout the world. Everybody you're going to be hearing today is a wellness professional, and they're going to be sharing their experiences, their education, their journeys, and the goal is to inspire everybody here to create a fire within you to be the best that you can be and to be giving yourself the best life for both yourself and your loved ones. What I would like to do is basically introduce the star of the show, the host and creator of this event, somebody who is very special to me and all of you, I'm sure. Ms. Shelly Jefferis. Shelly has been a health and wellness professional for over 35 years. Her love of fitness and working out began in junior high and continued through the years. She started out as a fitness instructor and went on to become a personal trainer, eventually went on to receive her degree in kinesiology. She went to teach kinesiology, fitness and health classes at the college level. She has been teaching college for over 25 years. She started her college teaching career at Cal State Northridge and currently teaches at Los Angeles Mission College and also College of the Canyons. In addition, Shelly has been an entrepreneur throughout the years. She has owned and operated a fitness program for moms and with their babies, if anybody remembers that back in the day, Miss Pat, creating quite a stir out there in Santa Clarita, getting her name out there. And she's always had a huge passion for coaching, speaking, and helping others achieve their best health, wellness, and happiness. She continues to help others with her private coaching program and is currently creating a health and wellness online course. She's been a resident of Santa Clarita for over 25 years. She is active with the community and currently serves on the board of the Circle of Hope, a wonderful cause indeed. She was nominated for the Santa Clarita Valley Business Journal 2017 SCV Entrepreneur of the Year. She is also nominated for the Santa Clarita Valley 2018 Women in Business Award. So quite a business gal that she is. In her spare time, which is so much, I think it was about 8 minutes, and that's all we're going to see for the rest of the day. She loves running. If you catch Shell's daily running events on social media, I do. They're amazing. Being outdoors and spending time with her family. I see Brad out there. The Jefferis family, amazing family. So on a personal level, excited to know them and be part of their family. Very, very, very special to everybody here, I'm sure. But she is obviously has 3 amazing children. For those of you who don't know, Jessica, Cody, and Braden. You can often see them together, always as a family unit, and it speaks volumes about Shelly and Brad and what they do. There's Braden coming in. Thanks for being on time, buddy. It's your mom's big event. Anyways, Shelly is one of the most amazing people I've ever met on a personal level. I'm proud and humbled to call her my friend. To me, she's been like an angel, and we've had many years of friendship. We grew up together with several of the boys with baseball out here, but just an amazing gal. And when she talks, people listen because it is truly her passion and her love. And she has changed my life forever. And I'm incredibly, incredibly honored and humbled to start her amazing event off. And she'll be going through all the amazing speakers that we have speaking today. But without further ado, I would like to introduce the host of today's incredible wellness event, Mrs. Shelly Jefferis.
Already. Okay, we're just hooking the microphone.
Nothing to see here, nothing to see here.
It was dangling.
Just pull out the ace of spades or something like that. And then just hook it on.
And then hook it, okay. All right, let's do this. See if I can do this, okay. It was like dangling there for a little bit. That's probably not going to be the most. Hook, hook, hook. Okay, what about my boot? I can't seem to hook it on. You know what? I'm just going to tuck it in my tight. Can I do that? Okay. If you see a black something hanging down inside the microphone. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for being here, taking time out of your Saturday morning on this rainy Saturday morning, Pat, and everyone. It means so, so much for you to be here. And I know you're going to be very happy that you spent your morning here by the end of the day. And thank you to Barry for the amazing introduction. He's like a brother from another mother to me, so I so appreciate him doing that. So he pretty much kind of covered my background. I'm not going to go into much history on that at all. But I have lived in sound creative for many, many years and have been involved in the community for quite some time. And then I've been a health and wellness professional for over 35 years. And I'm going to share just a very short story about kind of where and how that all started for me. It was a long time ago, so I promise not to go into too much history. But many years ago, my mom and my sister and I lived in a small town on the Central Coast, and it was a Friday, and I was heading to a dance for my junior high, and when I got home that night, my mom was already asleep. And so the next morning, she came in to check on me, see how the dance was and how everything was, and there was a little bit of a panic because I wasn't in my bed. She didn't see me in bed. So she didn't see me come home because she was asleep. Now she's opening up my bedroom door, and I'm not in bed. So luckily, it was just a couple minutes, and I peeked my head up from the side of the bed because I was on the floor doing my stretches and my push-ups and my sit-ups that I had learned in my PE class in junior high because I, like my children, had a wonderful junior high PE teacher, and she influenced me way, way back then. And that's when I started getting involved in running, and I developed my love of fitness back in those years. And so I credit her to this day. Her name is Selesky. She was wonderful. And that's kind of where I learned to value fitness and exercise and health. And I've been active ever since that day, those years. And getting involved with running has always been a way to kind of release stress, take some time to think, clear your head, and take time for myself. And I'm just grateful that I learned that so many years ago and the value of doing that so many years ago. So that's kind of how it started for me. And here we are 40 years later, and I'm still involved pounding the pavement. So, and I know some people, my daughter says, "Mom, how do you do it? It's so boring." I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just, I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it. So what I hope for you all today is to perhaps discover something that gets you motivated, whatever it might be in your area of wellness. And perhaps it'll be something that will take your overall wellness to the next level, to lead you to just a healthier, happier quality of life if you need that. And maybe you guys have already reached that and you don't need that. But hopefully you'll come away with some tidbit today that you can apply to your own lives. So this today has been something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. It's been a dream of mine, a vision, to have some kind of a seminar and speaking event. So like Barry mentioned, I've been teaching for many years, and it's something that I've been wanting to do is to just kind of touch more lives through teaching and bring people together like we have in this room, who will also share their love of wellness and just sharing messages with all of you. So that's where this kind of started for me. And so I'm excited to finally be doing this. I was thinking about it, talking about it, and then here we are. So how it kind of started, one level where it started was back in June. It was a Saturday in June, and my good friend Fred here, and you'll hear from him in a little bit, he and I were doing a presentation for my health and wellness company. And afterwards I told him, I said, listen, I said, you have a great message. We need to do a seminar. And he said, let's do it. And that was it. I went home that afternoon, and literally, I don't know, everything was in alignment because the name came to me, the menu came to me, my speakers came to me, everything came to me within an afternoon. And so I'm like, this is going to happen. I'm doing this. It's now or never. And I kept telling myself, I'm like, Shelly, you're not getting any younger, so let's do it, right? for lack of a better quote, just do it was kind of going through my brain. Totally, it was totally just do it. So I want to just say that kind of got me going to plan it. But I want to give some credit because I believe there was a certain summit that really influenced me to actually follow through with what is going on today. And so I'm going to share a little bit about something that happened quite a few months prior in my life. And I need some water. Excuse me for a minute. So it was back in 2018. And I received a phone call from my dad's wife, Madeline. And she was calling to ask me if I had talked to my dad because she says, have you talked to your dad? He's pretty sick right now. And I said, I haven't. And she was trying to decide what to do, whether she should go to where he was, have him come home, what was going to be the best thing to do at that point in time. So you see, Dad was in Japan. He wasn't close to home. He was in Japan. And he was performing and doing music and doing what he loved to do and what he had a passion to do. So he was not anywhere close to home. So it turned out that he was doing what he loved. He was touring Japan, but he got real sick when he was there. So luckily he had some friends who were able to get him into a hospital while he was there. And doctors treated him, and they had diagnosed him with congestive heart failure. And at the time I thought, okay, that kind of makes sense because my grandfather, my dad's dad, had that. So I'm like, okay, I know how this kind of goes. We can deal with this. So they treated him, and by the grace of God, he got well enough to fly home with the band members on his original flight back to the States. I don't even know how, grace of God, that happened. And so I just remember when he was home, I was like so happy that he was back home where now he can get treated. So he came home and went through some tests. And what happened was he had already scheduled a colonoscopy before he left for Japan because his doctor told him, you are due for this. And of course, he was like, okay, I'll take care of it when I come back. So just a few days later, when he came home, he had his colonoscopy. And they discovered a tumor in his colon. So this, I think, was one of those things where nobody wants to hear that. But this was something we never, ever expected with Dad. He was dealing with some other health issues, but never really anticipated that this would be something that would happen to him. So doctors were trying to determine what the best procedure would be for him to take care of him and to treat him because he was still trying to get over being sick in Japan, trying to get his energy back, his strength back, because he'd gotten so ill while he was gone. So the doctors were trying to figure out what's the best treatment. Do we surgically remove the tumor? Do we have him go through chemo? They were just trying to figure out what the best thing was for him. And at the same time, they determined that Dad did not have congestive heart failure at all. His heart was fine. He actually had a liver that was failing, and it was functioning like at a maybe 10, maybe 15%. So that was the reason that he had so much fluid building up in his body. So my dad, a few years prior, had been diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver. But it wasn't through alcoholism. It was due to fatty liver. And when you look at that, that is mostly due to, if not entirely due to your lifestyle. And so that's what Dad was dealing with at that time. And it just started to get worse. Fluid would build up in his abdomen, and he'd have to go back and forth to the hospital to have his stomach drained. So he was in and out of the hospital, but he'd feel a little bit better, and then he wouldn't feel good again. And then he ended up having a hernia that was about to rupture, so they had to perform emergency surgery on him. So it was every time he started to come back from something, he got hit back down again, and he just felt like he was like in this boxing match all the time, just like getting knocked out every time he'd come back from one challenge. But he was a fighter, and he kept fighting, and that was so amazing what he did and what he made it through. But he had this fluid building up, and then he had to have this surgery for his hernia, which he came out of fine. I'll never forget, we were there, my Madeline and my sister Gina and I were there when he woke up. And it was so cute because he was kind of startled. And he was like, I didn't think I was going to see all of you guys again. It was really so sweet. So here we were. Doctors were telling him to go home, rest, get your strength back, and then we're going to decide and determine what we're going to do and how we're going to treat this tumor, which had kind of taken the back burner a little bit, but now it's like, let's treat this. So luckily, they found a surgeon who wanted to remove, she said, we're going to go in and surgically remove this. And so she did, and surgery went fine, removed the tumor, and then it was back to go home, rest, get your strength back, okay? So I'll never forget, a couple days after he had the surgery, he and I were talking, and he was emotional. He's like, Shelly, I'm cancer-free. He was so happy. I'm cancer-free. I'm like, I know, Dad. So this was like, okay, now let's get your strength back. Let's get your energy back. And that was the plan, but it wasn't happening very quickly. And getting Dad to get up and move was a challenge. He didn't really want to exercise. So he kind of wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot better at that time. And you know, the interesting thing too, backing up for just a minute, is that I remember him telling me that a couple nights before he went to Japan, he was trying on some dress pants, and he was having a hard time buttoning them. And it was one of those moments where it was kind of like, this is kind of weird. He hadn't really gained weight, and he didn't feel bad, but he was leaving for Japan in 2 days. So he was just forge ahead. Just kind of thought, this is kind of odd, but then he just kept going on with his plan. So he had a couple signs, and he told me later that he recognized that after the fact that he had some signs that things weren't quite right. He and Brad and I used to, on occasion, not very regularly, but on occasion, walk to Starbucks on a Friday. And one of our last walks, he had to stop midway. He was out of breath, and he was talking about his legs kind of hurting a little bit. And I remember thinking, that was odd. But then I knew he was going to get checked out by the doctors before he was heading to Japan. So I thought, they're going to make sure it's okay for him to travel. And apparently they thought that it was. So it came down to the point where it was time to have Dad go into rehab center just to help him build his strength back up was really what it was going to do. That was what it was intended to do. And so he was admitted middle of November and was doing some little exercises with his 2-pound dumbbells, And so that was going to be a temporary place for him, just so that people could, professionals could take him through what he needed to do to get stronger. And we were with him on Thanksgiving. We spent some time with him, and we went and brought him cranberry sauce and, of course, pumpkin pie, his 2 favorites, out of the entire meal. And that was on Thanksgiving Day. And then the next few days, we went down to see him, and every time we went in, he was sleeping. And we'd go home, we'd go back to see him, he'd be sleeping. So it was the morning of November 28th, I had a phone call from a nurse asking me if I lived close by. And I said yes, and she says, your dad's really sick. And I'm thinking, I kind of know that. But my first thought was, this was a brand new hospital. He'd been in different ones, but he hadn't been in this one yet. And a brand new nurse. So my initial thought was, maybe they don't know his history. And I thought that for about a minute or two, and then it hit me, and then I broke down and knew it wasn't good. Because you see, up to this point, I totally had so much hope. It wasn't that I'm not an emotional person, because ask my husband, I am. I'll cry when I'm sad, I'll cry when I'm happy. But we all had so much hope because Dad kept fighting. He kept fighting. But this was different this particular day. So I drove down and went in to see Dad and knew it wasn't good. And I immediately called Brad and I said, can you please come down here? It's not good. And so we proceeded to spend the day at the hospital next to Dad, the entire day. And the doctor basically said he was keeping Dad's blood pressure up to a level that was keeping him alive with 4 different medications that day. So he basically said, it's up to you, us, the family, to decide when you want us to take him off the medication. So we all took time to be around Dad, to say our goodbyes. We all had time in the room with him alone. And as heartbreaking as a day as it was also a blessing because we were all with him and he was surrounded by so much love. And so many people loved my dad, and it was just a blessing to be with him and be able to have him feel that love, which I know he knew. We were all there. And that afternoon at 4 o'clock, they started to take the medication away from Dad, and within 1 hour, 5 p.m., he had his last breath, and we were all around there with him at that moment. So I share this story because it's part of my story and my life, but it's not to make everyone sad, but it's just to share that I know that Dad has been pushing me to do this. I believe that was kind of what instigated me to really get my butt in gear, because Dad had such a passion for what he did. He was an amazing musician, so very talented, played music all his entire life, wrote music, but he always had so much passion for what he did. And I've always had a passion for what I do. And I like to say that I gained some of that from my dad in the way that he approached what he did and his zest for life and his love for what he did as a profession. Always had that profession. And, you know, it wasn't easy. For those of you who know musicians and their lifestyle, it's not always an easy one, but he always did what he loved and he shared his passion. So I like to share that and share that with others because I believe that that's what has influenced me and also been really instrumental in getting me to this day. So I wanted to share that with all of you. And I'm just so grateful for him and what I learned from him. And I know that that's why I'm here, and I want to dedicate this day to him. So I wanted to share all that just because I just feel like it has so much to do with why we're here today. And I want to leave you with a few wellness tips to think about and to take with you today. And one of the first ones is to be proactive. Be proactive in your health and your wellness. Be proactive with your fitness. Be proactive in your mental, emotional, spiritual, financial wellness. I see too many people, and I saw this in my dad, but too many people wait till something happens. Whether it be a physical illness or a mental, whatever it might be, too many people wait. And so I just want to encourage everyone to be proactive now and take steps now. Number 2 is to listen to your body, tune into your intuition, listen to God, listen to your gut, whatever it might be, because again, going back to what happened with Dad, he had a couple of moments, but he kept forging ahead. And we do that. It's easy to just keep forging ahead and not always tune into what's going on or tune into how we're feeling. So that's another tip I wanted to share. Number 3 is to take action in your life. If there's something you've been thinking about doing, again, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Take the action and baby steps. It's not doing one big thing at once, but little action steps daily can make all the difference in the world. And then number 4, lastly, I want to say to encourage you all to follow your passion, and maybe you're already doing that. Follow your passion, whatever it might be. And I hope that today you leave feeling fulfilled and ready to pursue whatever that passion might be, if you maybe aren't yet doing that at this point in time. But what I do know is that we, all of you, have a voice. We all of you, have a message to share, and we all have a service to others in one way, shape, or form. So my hope and my prayer and my encouragement for today is that you go out and you share that message and you share your voice with the world. And to quote one of my mentors, don't really know him personally yet, but I will one day, Brendan Burchard. He says, live, love, matter. Live intentionally, wake up with grace and gratitude. Your voice matters. So again, I hope that throughout this day you keep your heart and your mind open and that you gain a tidbit or a few from this day and the speakers that you hear. I know that you will be inspired, and hopefully it'll inspire you to grow yourself, be healthier, happier version of yourself. And my goal, and I know the goal of all of us here that are sharing our stories with you, is that we want to inspire you, motivate you, and impact all of you and the world. So thank you.